The chair will not entertain under any circumstances comments derogatory in nature toward any board member, staff member, elected official, or member of the public. So when you approach the microphone, please state your name, whether you are a county resident, and keep in mind that we have ordinance. And if you're an employee of Bonner County on the clock, please state that you're an employee of Bonner County on the clock. Our first.
I'm going to have a discussion on that. It is.
The discretion of the chair.
No, the discretion of the chair is being grossly manipulated here. You don't have the right to tell someone if you're on the clock here, you must disclose that. And with as much litigation that's we're opening the doors to accept on this board, you look right at a sheriff employee, which you've done that to her more than once. You can't just make rules to enforce. The way it states in the statute is your function as chair is not judge, jury, and decision maker of everything. It's to run the meeting. You've been told by legal that public comment exists. The ordinance has not changed. Just like you don't get to pick and choose who can speak off that list, you don't get to institute arbitrary rules within the meeting. That is not your scope. And it is not worth the litigation that you invite by singling out staff, because you've allowed staff to always give a comment, which they do, and we've accepted that that's reasonable in this meeting. That is not right for you to try and do that now. And I would urge, there's no rule that says you can require somebody to do that.
Commissioner Williams, state law actually says that no political activities will be conducted on using taxpayer funds. In addition, there is this publication that is known as the Bonner County Policy Manual that has been published. So there is not an arbitrary or capricious expectation. What there is the idea that all Bonner County employees will honor state law and that they will honor the Bonner County Policy Manual. Am I to understand that you don't believe that employees, which I have not singled anyone out, but am I to understand that you're advocating that we don't follow the policy?
What I'm going to ask you to do is please provide the state rule and then the Bonner County policy that says that if you are in a public meeting and you are an employee of the county, that you must disclose that.
This meeting is recessed for 6 minutes while I go get that law. I am happy to provide that.
I felt a recess coming on.
Yep, I'm going to go.
It doesn't make, so what you're doing
I'm
doesn't make
answering your
sense.
question, Commissioner. I will be right back. Thank you for this opportunity for us to comply with state law. And I'll start with Idaho Code, and we did receive some written correspondence based upon the activities of certain elected officials in regards to Idaho Code 74-604. Neither a public entity nor any of its employees shall use, nor shall a public official authorize or use public property or resources to advocate for or against a candidate or a ballot measure. And it is my understanding, based upon the video evidence, that this did happen in this room, which I believe is a public room with public funds. And we did receive counsel that this was not appropriate.
Actually, you didn't, and so I'm going to tell you first, that is not what happened.
Bill was wrong.
Bill was not wrong. There wasn't an electioneering event. Mr. Bradshaw declined to address an issue, and the room was vacated. People sat and had a discourse wherein two people that happened to be elected were asked a specific question from a community member. You were advised by not just Bill, but also the clerk. That's not what was at issue. But the question, if that's what you came back with, then you inappropriately are telling employees, because what you went to get is a document to say that I have to state I am working for Bonner County at this time, I'm on the clock. What you're actually trying to address is use of public for electioneering, which in fact you did do when you called your press release. Using our money to fly to Boise and come back. So don't conflate the two. So what you just said was that a public speaker who wants to give a comment must tell you if they are on the clock. You did not come back with a rule, so therefore we cannot follow what you're requiring. This is specifically targeting your political opponents, which is now in the sphere of what you're talking about. You don't attack individuals because they are on the opposing side of your behaviors. The way you were instructed public comment should go is, we sit here and we listen to what people have to say.
Who was I instructed by, Commissioner?
You were instructed by our legal team to understand that public comment is not intended just for what you agree with, but it's the community's opportunity to address the board. You have been advised that if you don't like that, you need to change the county ordinance. County ordinance has not been changed. There is no requirement, and you did not come back with a law that justifies your arbitrary decision that says people that are employed must state whether they are currently on the clock. So we should proceed with public comment, and you should just apologize and say, I was wrong, I couldn't find that statute, instead of wasting more of our time.
Commissioner Williams, I will now read from the Bonner County Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual. And what the policy manual stated is under policy 400, rules of employee conduct. And what it says is
This is the same policy you wanted to get rid of, by the way, so we're going to use it.
That's interesting, but there's no record of that. And I intend to bring it forward because this board is interested in defending the political free expression as a right of all Bonner County employees. And I look forward to addressing it at the appropriate time on the agenda.
So I'm gonna actually respond to you because it has been in place and it was reviewed by legal when it was put in place. You are asking to remove it.
And that is policy 400.3, prohibited conduct. Employees of Bonner County shall not engage in political activities, specifically campaigning for or against any candidate or ballot issue while on duty in public service. Then it says this rule shall not apply to elected officials. So you've got policy and you've got state
You
law.
actually just confirmed that you're wrong, and you're being stubborn by not accepting that you're wrong. Nobody is talking about politics. This is a business meeting where the purpose of the meeting is stated in our rule to address the board and bring up issues that you would like to see on the next agenda. You are trying to use some way to identify individuals similar to your requirement that people online have to fill out a special form for you that's different than the form here.
Similar to the legislature?
You're not bringing any rule forth. You can't just say legislator, law, and ordinance. That doesn't make you right. It actually, in this case, is making you wrong and more wrong. So just accept that you don't get to dictate that they must disclose. We have wasted more time than it would have taken that person to make a comment. So we need to move forward. You cannot require people to disclose this.
So returning, I will repeat. The purpose for the public comment segment of the Board of County Commissioners meeting is to enable citizens with issues or concerns which they wish to bring to the board's attention and the public, which is ordinance 408, which was published on 5/31/2001.